Sometimes we end up planting a fruit tree in the ground and after a few years realize that that was not the right spot for it to be planted in. And this is what happened with us in our garden. And this is the orange tree that we planted in the north side of our garden where it doesn't receive too much sunlight. Here you can see our orange tree that has been uprooted from the ground because it was growing in a spot where it doesn't receive too much sunlight. In fact, it is mostly in shade, and this happened because when we had planted this in the ground about 4 to 5 years back, that spot received quite a bit of sunlight, and we thought that this was the best place for it to be planted. But it was planted right next to a jackfruit tree that we had there, and as the jackfruit tree became bigger, it started blocking out all the sun that the orange tree could receive. And because of this, in spite of this tree growing really tall, there were absolutely no flowers or no sign of fruit on this tree. All we could see was foliage. And finally, after a lot of debating and discussion, we decided to uproot this tree and relocate it to a sunny spot. But we have really limited space in our garden where we can plant trees directly in the ground. And this is the biggest tree, the jackfruit tree in our garden, right next to which the orange tree was planted. As this jackfruit tree got bigger, it started blocking out all the direct sunlight that the orange tree had been receiving earlier. And all citrus trees need direct sunlight so that they can produce flowers and fruits on them. So it is really disheartening and really sad when we have to uproot a tree that has grown so big in our yard for close to 5 years. I was pretty upset that we had to uproot this tree since we don't have another sunny spot in our yard to relocate this tree. Now, this is the only spot where we could have relocated this tree, but we decided to transplant some of our fruit trees from containers into this spot. This was a spot where we used to grow vegetables, and we decided to grow our vegetables in grow bags and containers and plant our fruit trees in this small space here. So, into this spot, we have transplanted our fig tree, guava, and sapota tree that were growing in containers. This spot already has two pomegranate trees and a couple of passion fruit vines that are growing in the ground. This is the south side of our garden and the only space where we get a lot of direct sunlight throughout the day. And this was a spot where we had earlier grown vegetables, and now we have started growing them all in containers and placed them on a patio right next to this garden patch where the vegetable plants also receive quite a good amount of direct sunlight throughout the day. So, whenever you buy fruit trees for your garden, always make sure that you plant them in a spot that receives a lot of direct sunlight because fruit trees don't flower or produce fruit without receiving a good amount of sunlight every day. This is a spot right next to our garden. The tree that you can see in the children's park right next to our fence is a mango tree that we had grown from seed and donated to the park. So, after a little bit of discussion with the committee members in our layout, they agreed to let us plant our orange tree in the spot close to our mango tree, a spot which receives a lot of direct sunlight. And with the help of a gardener, we got this replanted in the garden here. And even though it is not in our own garden within our area and it is part of the community garden, we can still see that the tree has not died and it has been replanted in a spot where it receives sunlight throughout the day, and we are happy to see that it has got a new place to live. I hope by sharing our experience, we are helping other people not make the same mistakes that we did in our garden, because it's really disheartening to lose a plant or a tree once it has been growing for a long time in our garden. We were lucky to get a spot right next to our home where we can watch this tree grow again. It might not work for everyone all the time. I hope you found today's video useful. Thanks for watching Fresh from my garden.